Hello guys, I'm Futureal. I stream 5 days a week over on twitch.tv/Futureal, and in this video we are coming in with the first video from the Project Diablo 2 Season 7 beta servers. Normally we do start with the early game videos. We are going to do that now as well, but it's going to be a little bit of a different format than what we have had in previous season. As this is mainly because there aren't really that many changes to the early game this season. Therefore, I'm going to link the Season 6 video in the description underneath, so if you want to refer to which of the early game builds are the strongest, please check out the Season 6 video. It will be right down there. In this video, however, we are going to test one of the big changes for the early game in this season, which is the Act 4 mercenary. Act 4 mercenary, we see very, very cool implementation, and particularly the variety that casts amplify damage is the one that we are going to test in this video. And I'm going to try to see if I can make it work with builds that would normally enjoy to have amplify damage early on. I hope you do like the video, and if you do, please click a like and a subscribe, and don't forget to leave your comment down below what you think about this video. Until next time, take care, and I will see you soon. Okay guys, so we are creating a few clips from the Project Diablo 2 beta. As opposed to last season, as I said in my introduction, there aren't really that many early game changes. There's basically no early game changes, which means that we're gonna use the Season 6 early game video as a foundation for the clips that you are about to see here. The introduction is the Act 4 mercenary. And whilst the Act 4 mercenary is obviously limited by the AI from the game, he is not very smart, I'm not gonna lie. He does have an interesting application. This is particularly the amplify damage mercenary. What I have found out, just tested it a little bit, is that when you create a new game, when the mercenary hasn't been in combat, his chance for casting amplify damage increases. So basically there is some kind of internal cooldown on the mercenary on how often he can cast amplify damage. Meaning that if you are hell-bent to play a physical Zealot like we have built here, because we're building characters that utilize this mercenary specifically, because this is the only early game change. So we have built a physical sealer, 30 fanaticism, max zeal, max sacrifice, 1 joust, max holy shield, 1 vigor, and we dump the rest of the points in defiance. And that's what we're gonna try. I wouldn't necessarily recommend to play the paladin like this, but if you are masochistic and you need to play a physical sealer as your first character, I'm gonna show you an area where this character actually works. And no matter where you end up wanting to go, make sure that you do short farms. So game creation, boss, and new game creation, for instance, or just game creation, boss, go to new area, boss. You don't want to do long dungeons like Chaos, for instance. There's too many creatures around you, your DPS is going to suffer, the mercenary is going to derp around, he's going to get himself killed. It's not what you want to do. But if we go up here, this mercenary and this character actually works. So we can kill that, and we can blast down here, and we can kill this. There's the amp damage. And the boss is dead. And we got a shield. Okay. So we have now done, let me go to town here. I did 4 or 5 runs before I recorded this. And this was the same thing every time. I do the joust, he casts amp, I clear out the group, charge to the other group, joust, cast amp, clear it out. I tried chaos, it was terrible because we couldn't even reach it, because too many creatures. And the AI of the unit, of the mercenary, is too weird. So let me just quickly go over the gear here, just to show you the gear that we have. So I'm using Blood Fist. We have a random blood ring random rare belt, blood ring again, random rare boots, rhyme shield, safety helmet, we have a duress, blood amulet, and we have a honor in a knout. That's it. And the mercenary is running mage fist, spirit staff, lore, stealth, random, rare, boots, and belt. So the gear is very, very basic. And we are level 84. So the intended time you're supposed to be here is basically you have beaten the game with some friends, or just joined random runs, and you are level 84, 83, 85, whatever. And you're going to start farming. This is actually functioning. Not going to lie, it's functioning. It's not going to be great. I would highly recommend to play Fist of Heavens in the early game. But you can do this. It's doable, thanks to the new mercenary. We have a couple of suggestions in the chat here. Let me... you can't actually see it right now. We can do that. We can activate the chat. So Lucas in the chat there says try Trav. Trav is pointless. With this mercenary is going to die after 4 seconds in Trav. He's just going to get completely eaten by the hydras. It's not even any point to show that on this clip. What we're trying to highlight is how you can take characters that were traditionally really, really bad, like the Zealot was terrible for starting, but now, even if it's still not good, it works in a way. And you can do that by utilizing the Act 4 mercenary. We're going to take a look at the Throw Barb next, which was also a notoriously bad starter. I'm going to build the Throw Barb with this mercenary and see how he does. Okay. As I just said in the previous clip, we are going to showcase a bit of a Barb build. So we have the same exact mercenary as we had on the Paladin moments ago. I just moved all the gear straight over. This is a Throw Barb. So we're not gonna put too much emphasis on the build right here because there is a lot of customization you can do to the build. But we have chosen to go a bit survivability based because we are playing hardcore. So we have a maxed battle command, only 1 in BO, 1 in find item. You can clearly skip this if you don't want it. We have maxed throw mastery, 1 in all the masteries. We put 10 in Iron Skin for the 5% PDR, and we put 5 in Natural Res for some more all resistance. In the combat, we have maxed double throw, and we have put the rest of the points in Frenzy. So we will be maxing the damage part of the build as we are leveling up. And you see our resistances are not maxed, but they are getting pretty okay. Inventory, we have exactly the same gear as on the Paladin. We just moved it straight over. And the same inventory, and we just crafted 2 exceptional quality throw weapons to not go crazy. So the experience is pretty much similar to the physical Paladin, the Zealot with the fanaticism, and also because we are using this new Act 4 mercenary, I do highly recommend to do short farms. Schenk, Eldritch, Pindle, those kinds of areas. This mercenary cannot handle Travancore because he can't leech. So until you can get a different source of amp, either on yourself with an Atmas amulet, or you can get like a Gavel of Pain or a Vile Husk or anything else that can give amplify, and then you can go with an Act 5 mercenary. But for day 1, day 2, when this is what you can afford to do, you don't have anything like that. This is a source of amplify, and I'm going to show you guys how this looks. I'm just going to showcase it at the same place. So we just go here. I do have 1 point in Frenzy, but I will not use Frenzy when the creatures are stacked up like this. I find it a little bit too dangerous on hardcore. But as you see, the damage here is just fine. Nothing wrong with the damage. So the only thing you can see, I will show you again, the attack speed. The attack speed is pretty abysmal. Pretty abysmal. So you need to get yourself as much attack speed as possible. Even you can go Treachery instead of Duress. quick way of getting attack speed. But attack speed is going to be very important. We also don't have a source of Cannot Be Frozen, because Cannot Be Frozen on the Paladin was on the shield. We don't have it here. So you need to find the source of that as well. You can do the set boots. You can do a Ravenfrost. There's many ways of getting Cannot Be Frozen, but you gotta get Cannot Be Frozen as soon as possible. A Ravenfrost is my suggested, because the attack rating will also be very, very useful for you. So let's just quickly go down and deal with Shenk. This is a little bit more awkward and clunky than on the Paladin, because on the Paladin you have Vigor, you have Charge, so you can dart around much quicker. But the damage on this character and the added safety of being ranged is in fact better. This was even without Amplify. He didn't even cast Amplify this time. He didn't even cast Amplify this time on this pack right here. So it's perfectly fine to do this farm with this character. You could even maybe do cows. I don't really recommend doing longer farms like cows and chaos until you have a more sustainable way of casting Amplify damage. For this test, Scary, I was not casting Frenzy first, because I don't want to go into melee range when there is elite creatures. But when you're doing an area farm, like in Chaos, for instance, when you get a little bit stronger, what you would do is you would open up on the pack with regular double throw, and then when there's 1 or 2 monsters remaining, you would go in and hit it with Frenzy, and then you would take the Frenzy buff to the next pack, so that you have Frenzy buff to kill that one, and again then do the same, activate Frenzy when there's only 1 or 2 monsters left, and then you just keep the Frenzy buff rolling as you move forward. But at this stage, I think it's pretty early. We don't have a lot of mobility. We don't have a mercenary that can keep himself alive, so it's important to do short farms where he is likely to cast Amplify damage and not get screwed over by his own AI being not the best. So definitely a good addition for the throw Barb early game. It's a free way of getting Amplify damage on day 1, day 2, something like this. Although I don't think this mercenary has longevity. As soon as you have Vilehusk, Gavel of Pain, and any of those items, until you get a Lacerator yourself, you can use an Atmos. You will just phase this out for an Act 5 mercenary. It will just be better. But definitely a good addition for the super early game. Now let's test out the Summon Zone. So, Amazon time, or should I say Summon Zone time. Just did the same thing. Actually forgot to toss on the mercenary gear. We can do that before we move on. But yeah, we moved over the gear from the Barb that we just saw, exactly the same gear, although we have changed out the weapon, of course. We have a +1 to all skills crafted caster weapon, and we have Cannot Be Frozen from Rhyme. Everything else is identical, including the inventory. So our resistances are not amazing. So this is the Summon Zone. So we have not chosen to go with a Strafe Summoner. Some people like going Strafe Summoner. I have passed that opportunity up. We're playing Max Valk, Max Decoy, and we have 10 in each of Crit Pierce and Penetrate, and then I dumped the rest of the points in Power Strike. We are also running Peace. We made Peace instead of using Duress, of course. This is giving us an extra Valkyrie. So I'm gonna jump down, show you guys how this looks. We can use River of Flame real quick to summon these. And then let's go here. So as you're gonna see real quick here, it's very efficient right here. See, here you see the mercenary, he stands behind, completely out of danger, and the creatures just walk forward and slaughters everything. So when you can get creatures in one direction from where you are moving, the Act 4 mercenary will automatically lag behind because he's ranged, and the creatures will run forward, meaning that he is protected. very, very nice. However, it becomes a little bit more awkward when there is creatures in... Here you see as well, standing completely safe, amplifying everything, and your summons is just slaughtering. Very, very nice to farm in these areas. What wasn't so nice, though, in one of the test attempts that I did, we went here to Trav, because Trav has very high value. So we want to try to farm Trav as early as possible. So when you run into this area right here, it becomes problematic because there's creatures around us on many different sides. This time looked like he did well. Casted Amp early. Gonna have to try and protect him so that he doesn't take too much damage here. But yeah, this summons on with Amp takes down the council fairly easily. This is day 1 gear, day 1 level. So you also have the option of running in here when you have completed the quest. We have cheat completed it, of course, with the command. So we can't reposition our creatures using the trick to go down to Durance level 1. But on hardcore, it's a little scary to do that in the early game because you can risk running through this door, and right here, there's like every single one of them, and they're just gonna one-shot you. Alternatively, you can also get a Naga staff or any kind of teleport source, and you can teleport inside here and get the same kind of conal attack path as you would do from a waypoint. So you can, for instance, just run up here and then teleport in here, and all the creatures, including your mercenary, would stand right here. You would stand to the back with your mercenary, and the summons would walk forward and just clear everything out. I think for particularly Trav, if you have super bad gear on your mercenary, this Act 4 mercenary is probably better than the Act 5 mercenary, because the Act 5 mercenary would just die. But when you have a little bit of gear, so you can do, for instance, Act 5 mercenary with Lawbringer, so you have that 10% physical resistance reduction on Lawbringer on the decrep. I think that Lawbringer with Might is going to be performing better than this mercenary right here. So very low impact for the summons on this mercenary. He has a very short use, day 1, day 2, just until you get enough currency for that Lawbringer. So we're going to test out one more character. Time to check out the Summon Druid for this Act 4 mercenary, like this little video series has been doing. Just with some preliminary testing, I do think this might be the build that this mercenary will do the best for. But that being said, we're still running into the same kind of train of thought that we had before. I will show you a couple of areas first, and then we will do a little bit of a conclusion afterwards. So same gear as before on all the other mercenaries, and I also have the same gear. I made a spirit, still using stealth. We have a safety helm here, so the gear is absolutely not optimized. You know, you want plus skills. This is a kind of like melee rings, whatever. It's not really important right now, and the rest is also pretty bad. But for the sake of argument, we will go and summon everything. It's a lot of summons, by the way. So with this amount of ramp up time, as you can see, we're literally taking a minute just to get all these creatures out. So if you play a Summon Druid, it is a very strong character in the beginning because it's so safe and it can kill anything. I would say that you don't necessarily want to do short farms like I suggested with other characters. You want to do longer farms so that you can really benefit from this time it takes to summon all the creatures. Because if you play short runs like Pinball or Eldritch, whatever, half the run is just summoning creatures. So you definitely want to do longer runs with this character. But just to showcase what I'm talking about, let's go to Frigid. So you see here, the mercenary stands in the middle, casts amp on these creatures, completely protected by all the creatures in front of him, takes 0 point of damage. It's also a huge benefit to have Gust. Gust is just enormously good on a summon character, because you can reposition your creatures and yourself. So we can put that over here, instantly amped. And the creatures just create a concave in front of the mercenary, completely protecting him from harm. And it turns out to be quite a strong mercenary. I will show you guys. I will show you guys real quick. Trab. I will try to show you what I intended when I suggested that you get yourself a larger staff on the Amazon if you want to do Trab. So we're gonna run. Just ignore everything here. Let's ignore everything, and then we teleport in here. So we want to be here. Mercenary at the back, completely protected. If there's a lot of Hydras on him, just step close so that you soak some of the Hydras. And just have this concave of creatures in front of you. And you will be completely safe the whole time. Both yourself and the mercenary will rarely take a single hit. In this case, if you need to remove the amplify damage, you can just click the well, and all amp on your creatures are gone. Then they recasted it, so you can remove it again. They're just going to keep casting it, but you can momentarily remove it, so that you don't have to take that damage. And then we can just gust outside to clean this up. So very, very strong on this character right here. However, like on almost all the other characters, I'm still wondering if you're not just better off getting an Act 5 mercenary to have Might Aura. Because this character has cold damage, the Summons On has lightning damage. It's a very, very small and niche problem to have to break immunity, physical immunity. So for the Barb and the Zealot, don't you just farm areas that don't have immunities? Because do you really want to stress around with a creature that has, 90% physical immunity or physical resist? Not really. So we have gone through all the character builds that I think would get better with this new Act 4 mercenary with the amplified damage cast. And I have to admit, I think it is a little bit underwhelming. His AI is not the greatest. He casts amplified damage maybe too rarely. It's not that reliable. And I keep thinking that maybe the Might Aura mercenary is just better. Because it's constant. Whilst this is a little bit lottery if he casts it or not. So I'm on the fence with this mercenary, I have to admit. I hope that there is a way we can make this mercenary a little bit better without completely breaking it. Because for the early game, if this mercenary was a little bit better, then these builds could really benefit from it. Right now, I feel like it's pretty much 2020 if you go for this or if you go for the Act 5 with Might. Particularly if you also think that you could toss on like a Lawbringer Phaseblade on an Act 5 mercenary, I think that would definitely be stronger than what we have seen here. But that is going to be it for this early game video, guys. I know it's a little bit different than what we have done previous seasons. It's mostly because there haven't really been a lot of changes to the early game. So please refer to the Season 6 video for early game strength, and then you can check out this video for the assessment on the Act 4 mercenary. Thank you for watching, and until the next video, take care, and I will see you soon.